Hello everyone and welcome to this sort of special episode. Since Ascension opened their gates and a lot of new people are coming into the server and starting to play, I wanted to showcase a way to level pretty quick, to farm a lot of gold and to pretty much just grind your way up to level 60 if you're interested in stuff like this, or like if you want some high level farm, some low level farm even, to make some gold. So here we go. First up, before we start, I would like to thank Live for basically creating this spec. When things with Awakening started, he did a lot of theory crafting, he tried to create some nice builds for the community, and this is also in a lot of ways his build. I pretty much used it in my old let's play of the server, like when I really did the grind from 1 to 60, and even back then, like, he was very helpful. He provided me with some tips and provided me with the help to improve the build. So again, thanks to you, and I will link this channel somewhere around here. Please check him out. He has not been that active recently, but still very helpful, very great guy. So yeah, as I said, I used this in my old kind of build, in my old let's play. I still wanted to try out like how well it does today, like with the recent patches and everything, and how early you can start basically to use this kind of build. I have a lot of footage prepared where I will showcase, okay, at level 20 you can do this much, at level 30 you can maybe go a step further. Like, this is a build that starts off good but a bit slow from level 20 and then basically just snowballs out of control until level 60 in terms of farming, uptime and efficiency. In this video I would like to cover the basics. I would like to show you that it's possible to basically start this farming kind of way from level 20 onwards, and the most essential kind of abilities you need for that. So why level 20? The reason this is like the perfect level for you to start this is you get the needed basic abilities. One is the Holy Nova and the other one is Aspect of the Viper. Those two abilities pretty much synergize so well together that they are pretty much a must-have for this build. Each time you damage an enemy, you gain the mana back, and since AoE from Holy Nova does a lot of damage to different enemies, you pretty much have an enormous uptime. Like, you heal yourself, you damage the enemy, you get mana back. Aspect of the Viper is probably the most vital kind of ability in this build. It's what makes this build work, and it's also what makes it very interactive and very fun to play, since you have to do a lot of toggling, but I will address that a bit later. So we pretty much start from here, and everything else that you get is nice to have and will increase your efficiency, will increase your damage output and your heal and your sustain. But again, I can't stress this out enough, having Aspect of the Viper and Holy Nova is pretty much vital. So yeah, I will start out with the ability showcase, and later I will go into talents and what you might want to get later on, and let's just start. So what's really nice to have for AoE is the Consecration, just a really nice basic AoE kind of spell. This is also one of those things, like I guess I can talk about it right here. This is one of those abilities where toggling can be pretty important. Basically, every time you heal or you do a damage ability, you want to have Aspect of the Viper off, at least if your mana is still at a quite okay amount. If you get low, of course, use the Aspect, use your Holy Nova, and then you should be good to go again. So nothing much more to say about Consecration, really just a basic AoE ability with pretty much 100% uptime if you time it correctly, 8-second cooldown, 8-second duration, so pretty much nice to have to kill your enemies a bit faster. Next we have Thunderclap. The nice thing about Thunderclap is that it utilizes your rage, which you will build eventually. Like, you don't build rage by taking damage on the server, you rather will build it by dealing damage, especially like with wide hits, like with auto attacks. Since it increases the time between attacks, it decreases the damage on you, and this is a very nice ability to use if you want to get some mana back, because again, it does not take any mana. You can activate your Aspect, you clap, you deal a little bit less damage, but the damage is not the main component of the spell anyway. You do it to receive less damage from the increased time between attacks. So overall, a really useful ability to have. Which also brings us to the next one, since this needs the defensive stance. Defensive stance is really a skill you should get. as soon as possible, not only for Thunderclap but also because it decreases the damage you take by 10%, and for 2 ability points this is pretty much perfect. You also don't want any other stance, so at least for low level this is amazing. You can't have this on with transformation effects like Tree of Life for example, but Tree of Life is really late game and it's been nerfed recently. Like I will show you footage later where it gets pretty insane if you get it like once, but yeah, nevertheless, for now just get defensive stance. It will be your best bet, especially since you also want shield block. Just all around credibility pretty much nullifies all the physical damage you will take for a short period of time, will allow yourself to heal up. And also regarding talents, it will be pretty great because a lot of this synergy you can upgrade with talents. It synergizes very well together with other spells. For flat heal I went with Flash of Light. In terms of casting speed, efficiency, mana cost, it's one of the best. And you also unlock it on level 20. You won't use it that often since if you get attacked by a lot of mobs then your cast time is decreased of course. Can't channel it that well, but especially with War Stomp or if you get later some talents or abilities that allow you to channel through it, this is just a really solid healing spell to have. It might get replaced at high level with some other more powerful healing spells, but for now just go with Flash of Light. What's also great is some heal over time. I went with Regeneration in this case. You can also go with Renew. It's arguably even a bit better since some of the talents increase your holy damage or your holy effects, and since you already got 2 of those then the Renew effect might be a bit better. I mean, we also have Flash of Light, but overall having a heal over time is just a really great thing, and I would always recommend you to get one and to pre-buff yourself before you enter a fight. Also very important synergy wise with the aspect of the Viper and the regeneration or like any hot. Interestingly enough, the aspect of the Viper, if you have it activated while healing yourself with a hot like this, the heal gets cut in half, so this will be one of the most important things, that right before you heal or apply a hot, that you will always try to turn off aspect of the Viper as soon as possible and pretty much guarantee the full heal for yourself. I will demonstrate this real quick. So here you can see without aspect of the Viper it's about 29. Now I activated aspect of the Viper and as you can see it's only 14. But if you cast it and activate aspect of the Viper after it, it still heals for the full amount, so that's a very nice thing to know, I think. And yeah, of course it will be vital for your survivability. Alright, let's move on to our imp, and this is also one of the most important abilities for us for a bunch of reasons. One of them is you get a stamina increase, which is amazing, a health increase, not stamina, but still nice. It's only 2 ability points, you don't need soul shards. It's just a really nice demon to have for this reason as well. And I actually wanted to cover like abilities first before going into talents, but Soul Link, I guess it's also an ability you get from a talent tree. So you go into the Demonology Warlock and you pick up Soul Link, which basically reduces all damage taken by 20%. It gets transferred to your demon, but since you are using Holy Nova you also heal your demon, so he never gets really into any danger, like your pet really does not die. And like for 2 ability points and 1 talent essence, Soul Link is just amazing. So you have the Fire Shield, you have the Blood Pact, and you have the Soul Link for your pet, which pretty much makes the imp very necessary, especially early on. Unfortunately there's not really a macro for Fire Shield, but you can always just target yourself and then, like, you do this pretty much before the fight anyway. It's only 3 minutes, so you have to keep that in mind and you have to rebuff yourself with it. It's only a minor DPS increase, but also early on it helps out a lot. I would also recommend to keep Phase Shift on so he won't be targeted. This can be a bit buggy sometimes if he's like not phase shifted and can lead to some issues with yourself losing aggro, and you pretty much want enemies to hit you. So why do you want enemies to hit you? I guess you do a lot of damage with the Retribution Aura and you do also a lot of damage with Thorns as well, and this together with Fire Shield just stacks up very nicely and allows you to pretty much deal your biggest part of damage just by getting hit. Retribution Aura and Thorns stack together. So this is basically your damage. You have your Consecrate, you have the damage you deal while getting attacked, you have your Holy Nova. So let's move over to some more defense. Demon Armor, Demon Skin, great stuff. Not only like for the armor increase, mostly for the 20% heal increase. Just an amazing skill, very easy to get, very easy to handle, 30-minute duration, always buff yourself with it, great stuff. And then also Frost Armor, pretty self-explanatory, armor increase, decreasing the enemy attack speed, also gives you the ability to maybe run away from some encounters if they are too hard, thanks to the movement speed decrease. And you also have your sprint, so you can get out of trouble in a like Ascension pretty much if you want. So yeah, those are the basic abilities. Again, a lot of those are available from level 20, so this is like a crucial level for you. Before that I would just recommend to go with Flame Tongue, Sinister into Overpower. So let's cover some of the talents and stuff that you want later for your build as well. I might do a more detailed video on this, like on a high level kind of farming build, but just for you to know what you should pick up, why you level with this, and what talents are really great to have. Alright, keep in mind that in Ascension you don't really have to go through the talent trees to get to the later levels. You can pretty much, not regarding how many points you put into the talent trees, you can choose what you like. So this is not a bug or anything, you really just can hop right into the point that we want. Of course, the only thing being that we need the regarding level to this. So starting out, there are actually a few things to be had. Later on you might think about pulling away some of the talent from the earlier talents. Later on you might think about pulling some of the talent points from the earlier talents and putting them into later ones, since they tend to be stronger. I guess that makes sense. But for now let's go with Aspect Mastery. Only one talent point and it reduces the damage penalty by 10%. So it's pretty much a 10% damage increase for you. Not quite, since you don't have Aspect of the Viper on all the time, but for only one talent point this is basically as good as it gets. Moving on to the Elemental Shaman, Elemental Warding, just a flat damage decrease by 3%. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but just very nice to have. Again, keep in mind, there will be a bit more powerful talents later on, but stuff like this is pretty basic and pretty much always nice to have. I will only cover some crucial and nice abilities that are available at early levels. For a high level character I might do a more detailed guide later. But something that I have to point out, and that is really important to this build itself, are a few abilities that you will be able to get in the next few levels. Starting from 26 you want to have Magma Totem into Fire Nova Totem. You can get Fire Nova earlier, as you can see, but without like a Fire Totem on the ground it does not help you, and you don't want stuff like Searing Totem, it just is pretty much useless. So 26, make sure to have 4 ability essences so you can get Magma Totem and Fire Nova. It will increase your damage output by a ton. Make sure to pull some aggro from the mobs first before you use it. And also make sure to toggle your Aspect of the Viper, of course. But in terms of offensive spells and of like damage output, this will be your bread and butter spell. Like this will increase your overall damage output by a huge percentage. And also make sure to get the corresponding talents while you're at it. Call of the Flame and Improve Fire Nova. While we're at it, another must-have will be Blessing of the Sanctuary or Blessing of Sanctuary at level 30. This is just amazing and actually allows you to sometimes even neglect the Aspect of the Viper. Especially if you have Shield Block on, like Shield Block into Blessing of Sanctuary is insane. You get all your mana back, you don't take any damage, and in crucial moments of fights this will be your lifesaver. Also the reason why we don't get a Blessing of Kings, just because this is much better. Another important side note I have is that if you go for stat increased talents, which are usually pretty nice, please make sure to pick the best ones. One example I have here for you right away, like Demonic Embrace, 3 points for free stamina is really not that great. You have to keep in mind the stat allocation Ascension works that way that you can pretty much choose yourself where you want to put your points. So since stamina and intellect are your most important kind of talents, you can pretty much choose between talents that increase intellect and talents that increase stamina, and then adjust your stats from the stat allocation accordingly. So instead of like 3 talent points into 3% stamina increase, I would prefer to go into Mental Strength, which gives basically 3 only for 1 talent point into intellect and 15 for 5 points, and then again allocate my stats accordingly. But yeah, I guess I didn't stress this out enough. Like the only stats you will need for this build are stamina and intellect. You should have around 1000 mana to keep your Aspect of the Viper mana regain pretty high. And of course stamina for beefiness, for tankiness. So it's rather self-explanatory, but having around 1000 mana is a bit more important early on than having a lot of beefiness, although both are very important. Alright, moving on, sorry for getting sidetracked. So another nice set of talents will be Shield Mastery. Your block value will increase, your shield block cooldown is improved. Later on there will be a lot of talents you want to get out of the Protection Warrior skill tree. Pretty much same thing for all kind of tanky talent trees. You really want to cherry pick the best talents you can get there, although a lot of those talents will be available at very late game, unfortunately. Molten Skin is also a great talent to have. Flat 3% damage decrease, just quite great. In case you're wondering why don't we get Flame Tongue, Earth Living Weapons, pretty much the reason for that. Available at level 30. This skill will pretty much do a lot of work for you. So yeah, summing it up, this build can be viable from level 20 onwards. It really excels from level 30 onwards thanks to Blessing of Sanctuary and also like the Earth Living Weapon and a bunch of damage dealing stuff like Magma Totem into Fire Nova. Its main purpose is really just to grind, and therein also lies one of the weaknesses, I guess. You can't really go one-on-one combat. You pretty much are even worse against one enemy than you are against more enemies. Like the more enemies you pull, at least until some extent, especially early on, you have to be a bit careful. But later on it's really like the more enemies the better, thanks to how Aspect of the Viper, Holy Nova and a bunch of other stuff works together. So even against PvE one-on-one, sometimes a bit tricky, maybe just run away and try to pull a few more mobs. PvP is also an issue. I would recommend you to maybe get a bubble later and try to just half stun out. I mean, you are very tanky if you are fighting against enemies while you get ganked. You will probably survive and maybe even kill your attacker. While leveling on my other character, I had this happen a few times just because you heal so much. But if you get ganked one-on-one and you are like away from groups, just try to run away. You are still quite tanky, but there's no way you can fight one-on-one. Use your defensive cooldowns, use your sprint to get away. Maybe make your imp fight so you get some damage on. Nice thing is you have your frost armor, so if you get attacked then at least you slow the enemy and accelerate this with sprint, and you should be able to escape most of the time. And again, half bubble will also be an option, although it has some cooldown. Another weakness is, I guess, that it can get a bit repetitive. Like once you have your rotation down and once you get the toggling and everything going, then this can be quite boring maybe if that's not your kind of playstyle. But the sheer amount of efficiency and how fun it can be to play and how fun it can be to test out your limits and to improve and to pull more and more mobs, it's just so much fun. Like it really outweighs the negativity in the build, like the negative points. And I had a blast playing with this. If you're interested, you can check out my out-leveling series about this. Again, it might be a bit boring since I pretty much just grind, but it's just such a goofy and fun build. Like you have no downtime, you really can just farm all your way, and especially like high level, it's very nice to farm some items as well, to farm some gold. And well, you feel kinda imba, like this is something you can't really do on any other server. And although it might feel a bit imbalanced and strong, it still does not feel too insane. Like you still have to, like it's not really face roll, you still have to toggle your abilities correctly. It will get better with time, but especially early on you have a lot of toggling. But again, super fun build. Huge shout out to Live again for making this pretty much possible. And I hope all of you enjoy your time on Ascension. I hope you can utilize some of the things I've said in this video. If you want to see more content like this, please consider to subscribe. I have a bunch of Awakening/Ascension stuff on my channel as well. And if you found this guide to be helpful, then please leave a like or like a rating or leave a comment. Would be much appreciated. It helps out the channel a lot, like you can't imagine. But yeah, other than that, have a great time, stay awesome, and I see you next time.